Well, greetings and salutations, test takers. This is the Series 7 Guru coming to you from my off-grid studio, getting our kicks on historic Route 66. Every Tuesday, we do a live stream Q&A, 5 p.m. Arizona time, called Ask the Series 7 Guru. At the end of that, we do a weekly drawing, and what the winner gets is a coaching call with yours truly. So that's what we're doing today. And hopefully it'll be something that you'll find of interest as well. Hey, Lina, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Dean?
Good. And you won our weekly drawing, is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. So what would you like to talk about in your coaching call?
Well, when we connected, I mentioned to you I have my exam coming up in on Tuesday,
Tuesday?
and I have been using the training consultants to help me
Yep.
prepare.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm doing the final exams right now. I'm on my
Okay.
third out of five. My
Okay. And your scores?
yes, my average is like 75. I
I
think.
like that. I like that. I think that'll get it done.
You think
So,
so?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know I would like training consultants to have more for you. How are you in QBank usage? Are you still got questions you haven't seen?
Well, I honestly haven't used the QBank.
Uh-huh.
Just been using the training consultants. I just recently went in and bought the like the questions, but I haven't taken a dive in yet.
Okay, and you're testing what next week?
Tuesday.
All right, well, do me a favor, do another practice exam and get a score and see how that looks. And let's see if you're still in that mid 70 with different phraseology, different vendor. You're probably going to go backwards a little bit, but I still think that 75 is fine. So,
Okay.
is it a particular topic you'd like to discuss?
I would love if you don't mind, I've seen you do some of these like tests with different people, and I know I mentioned
Yeah.
you like I would love to have more time, and I'm happy to pay
Yeah, yeah, those are
more time.
practice tests. That like I just did one the other day. It was like 3.5 hours. That's obviously not a coaching call. We
Yeah.
could certainly do a couple practice questions on a particular topic if you'd like. We can probably fit that in.
So
Welcome, sir. Did you win our weekly drawing as well? Hello?
Hi, Dean. This is Gina.
Oh, Gina, I didn't see you back there. I'm with my camera going. So, Gina, did you win the weekly drawing too?
I did. Yep.
Okay. So, what would you like to talk about? What exam, Lena? What exam are you taking?
I'm taking the seven.
The seven. Ooh. And Lena, what are you taking?
I'm taking the seven also.
Oh, we love it. Okay. Well, that's great. We got on the same page. I love it. Okay. So we can form a
Yep.
syndicate. I was just asking Lena if she wanted any topic, if she wanted to do a couple practice questions. Do you have a particular topic on Series 7 you'd like to discuss in today's coaching call?
Um, Not particularly. I'm doing a TO. I scored low on functions 3 and 4.
Uh,
And so
Three is
it's
way, way more important than four. So there
okay.
is a narrative thread to your Series 7. The narrative thread is function one, four functions to being a broker. Function one is finding a new customer, right? Not very testable. Once you find a customer, opening the customer account, that's very testable. That's all the stuff about joint tenants with rights or survivorship versus tenants in common versus UTMA accounts. Very testable. But function three is make an investment. That's 91 questions.
Yeah, and I got
That's options, mutual funds, and munis are 60 of those. That
wow.
function four, I'm not too worried about because that function four is what happens after a trade. That's like confirmations, margin, you good delivery. That's not really highly testable. So function three is where the action is in terms of making your mark, and that's the options, the munis, and the mutual funds.
Okay. Well, I'm just now going through, almost done with your 4 class series on the options.
Oh, very good. There you go. So yeah, that's 4 hours all in. It starts with introduction to options and then basic options strategies, and then stock plus options, and then advanced option strategies. Where are you at, Lena, in terms of options?
It's been a little, I've improved because that was a really tough area, but my scores are getting a little better. They're still not like super,
Okay, well,
super
why don't we do
strong.
that? Let's do this in the coaching call today.
Yeah.
Since
Okay.
you're both doing your options, why don't we go ahead and let me get rid of that. And let's go over the 8 test questions that you're going to get asked about a spread.
Okay.
It's an advanced option strategy, and I call it Don't Hate the 8. And I say, if you do my menu, whatever they want to know, you're going to have the answer. So you have to first identify the spread, even if that wasn't a test question. I just told you it is.
Mhm.
But if you can't identify, you're just going to be staring at it and going, I don't know, B. So, um, so that's, by the way, you can't beat yourself up. That's progress to be able to identify what you're being asked. Sometimes I'll be doing a tutoring session and I have to tough love say, listen, we're not ready for tutoring because you don't even know what you're being asked and you don't want to know what answers are being offered to you. So, you got to do some more base. I just finished a practice screen, Lina, with a young lady today, and I was just so impressed because I know how dedicated, disciplined, organized you got to be to get the kind of score she was getting. That just doesn't come, like we got the magic pill. Once we have identified it, we got to turn them in credit or debit. Once we've done that, we've got to determine. Now we can rock and roll here because if we get that, I'm going to show this to you. Then we need to know expire or near exercise. And then we got to know widen or narrow. And as I said, it's pretty good because if you get that right, then you can rock and roll because those always go together. There will be no circumstance wherever I ask you about credit and it's not expire narrow, or I ask you debit and it's not debit exercise widen. Right? Once we do that, we got to do the max gain and max loss. I call this Don't Hate the 8. And if you do these 8 things, you got my guarantee that whatever they want to know, you've got the answers. Max loss. And then we got to know break even. And then we got to know bullish or bearish. Those are the 8 things that you're not going to be able to do on the test. Right? So boom. And then the last thing is bullish or bearish. Don't hate the 8. Now, options is one of the only things that builds. And what I mean by that, ladies, is that if you don't know what a long call is or a short call, you're going to be kind of clueless about advanced option strategies. And so that's why you got to kind of lay the base, as we say. Now I'm going to go ahead and do an option trade here, just a basic option transaction. And let's say, let me get a stock price here. Stock price. Well, that's an interesting ring. That sounds like you're on the Starship Enterprise or somewhere. All right, so I'm going to sell one Apple August 240 call at 11. Now, the thing I would like you to be able to do, ladies, in this situation is I would like you to be able to do contract specifications. And what I mean by that is I would hope that you're looking at this and you're not fumbling around, that this is an obligation to sell the stock at the strike price. So if you get good at contract specifications and you can track money, you're in pretty good shape. Now, I like to think about what Dean likes to think about isn't testable, but I like to think about options being about floors and ceilings, right? So if this is all I do, there's my 240 call. There's a floor here at 240. 240 or lower, this contract has no intrinsic value and will expire worthless. And then I get to go neener, neener, neener. I get to keep the money. Now, you should be struggling at some point that when we're selling option contracts. We're selling option contracts. The most I can make is the premium. Right? I mean, the most you can make is what you have collected. So the best case is option contract expires. I make 11 points. My break even here is 250 or 251. Call up, strike price plus premium. Max gain is the premium, max loss. Test question is unlimited. If I come into your office and say, I want to lose so much money that you in advance can't tell me how much. So, Dean, there's very few things that will do that. But selling a naked, uncovered call will certainly do that. Now, the conversation I'm having isn't testable. I'll tell you when it gets testable. What I think I might want to do is I want to take the money, but I'm smart enough to be a bear who wants to take the picnic basket without, getting shot. My mantra is don't be a dumb bear. And this is a really dumb bear. It's like picking up nickels in front of bulldozers. So what I'm going to do is offset my obligation to sell with a choice to buy. I'm going to put in a ceiling. Options are all about floors and ceilings. And so what I'm about to do is create a spread. I'm going to leg into a spread. I'm going to leg into a spread. Who cares? I'll tell you when it gets testable. And again, it's still not testable. And I'll tell you when it gets testable. Boom. And let's put that here. And now I'm going to buy. I'm spending my second month off grid, so I have all kinds of. I thought I had the place built out before I moved from Las Vegas, but not quite. So I've got contractors, and I'm just seeing my contractor pulling up, but I'm happy with him. So, you know, I had a sports car, and I got tired of begging people to buy my sports car, so I brought it with me, and it's so not a car to have out in this, place. And so now I had to build a garage to put it in, and then I had to build a pad, and on and on. So here I say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to offset this with a choice to buy. And so, okay, so now we've got our first test question. Our first test question is, can we identify the spread? I told you, even if that wasn't a test question, I'm telling you it is. But even if it wasn't, if you can't identify the spread, you're in trouble. And the way we identify spreads is soda. Soda. Same option, call. Different action, buy, sell. You're long and short the same type of contract. Now, I practice lots of ways to do options. I practice you with a matrix. And so if you're using the matrix, here's what a spread looks like. That's what we're doing here, call spread. Same option, different action, buy, sell. There's call spreads and there's put spreads, right? All right, so we've identified it as a spread. And again, we said that spreads are all about floors and ceilings, right? So now we got a ceiling here. And let's put in our ceiling. Our ceiling is 250. We're saying that we want to play between here, and then we don't want to play no more. All the action takes place between the strikes. All of the action takes place between the strikes. Right, so boom. All right, so how are we going to determine whether it's a credit or debit? We're going to net those premiums. Okay, so ladies, whenever we have buy, sell, we net. Whether we're buying the stock and selling a call, covered call, we net the two numbers. If we have buy, we combine, or sell, we combine. So different action, buy, sell, we always net. Same action, buy, or sell, we combine, whether it's advanced options or stocks or whatever it happens to be. All right, so is that three? Is that $3 out or dollars in?
Out.
Out.
That is indeed dollars out. And that 11, is that dollars out or dollars in?
In.
Okay, so boom. Some people like to use pluses and minuses, whatever floats your boat, but it's important that we get that this is a credit, a net credit. Spread means difference. I always use the analogy of my friends who like to bet on the games. And I say, hey, what's the spread tonight? That simply means the difference. And they say, Dean, the spread is 12 points. So, I'm an NBA fan and been watching our Lakers. I can't believe it, the Mavericks traded Luka. I'm like, crazy. Anyways, I said, what's the spread? My friend says it's 11 points. I say, hey, what's the current score? What's the current spread? Is it 8? Is it 12? The difference in the scores is always going to be changing. And that's going to be good news or bad news, depending on what you're doing. But ultimately, what's really important is to understand this is money in. And whenever we have money in, the best case is contract or contracts expire and we get to keep the money. Now, that's true, by the way, whether you sell a straddle, you sell a call, whatever you do. I mean, that's the best case. You agree to be a potential victim. Nobody victimizes you, and you get to keep the money. So we have two types of spreads. We got credit spreads, and we have debit spreads. And in a credit spread, the maximum gain is the net credit when the contracts expire. So you would tell me as a test question that the max gain here is $800. And you would tell me that you want the contracts to expire. Now, this always goes together. A good memory aid device here is credit has 6 letters, expire has 6 letters, narrow has 6 letters. So we just got Gina. Gina, are you taking the series? Is that you on the iPhone? Gina, is this you again? Same?
Yeah, it's me again. I'm trying to
Okay.
get off my phone so
No
I
worries. No
can.
worries. Just my booking page only puts people by first names. And so like I've got a gazillion Johns on the booking page. I wasn't sure. For a while we had like 4 Nicoles and I got to figure out how to go into my booking page and change it so it gives me last name first instead of first name. So
Yeah, I'm gonna get off my phone.
all right. So you call me, let's say we do this spread. We do this spread and you call me and you say, "Hey Dean, what's the spread today?" The difference, because that's always changing, right? That difference is like in the game, right? And I say, hey, the difference today is 6. Would you like me to close it out for a profit of 2? You say, nah, Dean, let it ride. You call me the next day. What's the spread today? I go, it's 9. You want me to close it out for a loss of 1? Hardest part to get, don't need to get it. Because credit, expire, narrow goes together all the time. If this was a debit spread, do the do. When you're wide like Dean, you need to exercise. Or Mountain Dew, like right? Mountain Dew, just do the do, right? So we can rock and roll. Now, what's really kind of nifty about a spread here is I said all the action takes place between the strikes. Before we were going to be really stupid and we were going to do a naked call, which would have been really not smart. And the reason a naked call wouldn't have been smart is because we would have been exposed to unlimited loss potential. Now there's only 10 points to be made or lost. Test taking trick. Whatever the gain and the loss is, it adds up to 10. The gain and loss always equals the difference in the strike. So on the test, you can always eliminate anything offered to you as gain or loss that doesn't equal the difference in the strikes. Now, the reason that's so important is because if we know those two numbers add up to 10, and we already have one of those numbers, which is 8, you can either memorize, one of the problems when you start memorizing things is once you go down the memory lane, the amount of things you're going to have to memorize continues to compound. right? I think it's easier here to know, well, okay, I've collected 8 of the 10, and so that means I can lose 2. But we said all the action takes place between the strikes. There's 10 points to be made or lost. There's 10 points to be made or lost. So it can't be, like 8 and 4. It's got to be whatever these two numbers are, right? The gain and loss always equals the difference in strikes. If you don't get that, then you got to memorize. And you got to memorize that the maximum loss in a credit spread is the difference in the strikes less the net credit. I just think that's a mental mess personally, but however you get there, you need to get there. So this is our loss, and this is our gain. Boom. Okay, so test taking trick. The break even is somewhere between these two numbers. So you on the test can shop your answer set and you can eliminate any break even offered to you that isn't somewhere between 240 and 250, that range. By the way, that's the whole point again. Before we could make 11 and lose everything, right? Which is kind of stupid. And now we have a floor and we have a ceiling, which is kind of cool, right? It's kind of cool that we're only playing between that space between there. All right, so we have two memory aid devices for break even. We have CAL and we have push. CAL stands for call, add to the lower. Call, add to the lower. So we're going to take the lower strike, which is 240, and we're going to add the net premium. Doesn't matter whether it's a debit or a credit to the lower strike. There's no graphing, by the way, ladies, on the test. There is no graphing. But sometimes a visual representation, I think, can be helpful. That break even is 248, right? Once you get the menu done, then you can think about it. You can say, okay, well, if I buy Apple at 248 and I deliver at 240, I'm going to lose 8 points. But good news, I got 8 points. I break even. Nobody does things to break even. We do things to make money, right? But that is our break even. By the way, you could also just, if you're a visual person too, you could put 240 here. You could put 250 here. And then you could do your break even. Some people like to start with their break even first. And then you could put your break even at 248. And then you can determine bullish or bearish. That's another way to go, right? Knowing that, again, the gain and loss equals this. The last thing we got to know is where do we want it to be in relationship to 248? And so how do we do that? The larger premium dominates the position. So if you are you ladies using the matrix by chance?
Mhm.
If we're using the matrix, it's kind of easy because what we're doing is trying to find what sandbox we're playing in. There's our matrix. And then the larger premium dominates in this playground or that play box. I'm an 11. And over here, I'm a 3. So what am I really up to? What I'm really doing is that short call. And the reason that's important is we need to know it's bearish. Now, if you do these 8 things, you've got my guarantee that whatever they want to know, you've got the answer, right? So I call it don't hate the 8. Don't hate the 8. Okay, let me just get that there. We want to put that there to remind us where we want it, right? So we're happy below 248, 246, we make 2, 245, we make 3, right? 240, we get to keep all the money. Ha ha ha. Worst case, 250, we delivered 240, we lose 10, we got 8. Making 8 and losing 2 is much better than making 11 and losing everything, right? So we said on a spread, 8 test questions. The 8 test questions on a spread are, can you identify a spread? A spread is when you're long and short the same type of contract. Soda, same option, call, put, different action, buy, sell. Can you determine credit or debit? If you get that right, you can rock and roll. Credit expired narrow, you've got your gain. Debit exercise widen, you got your loss. So this is really key to the analysis. And so here, the way we do that is we net the premiums. Spread means difference. That's the word. Spread always means the difference. What's the spread? Credit spread, debit spread, spread in the offering, spread in the bid and the ask. Spread means the difference all the time, right? And so once we've identified that as a credit, we can really rock and roll. Because we know that when we collect money, the best case is we keep it neener, neener, neener. Right? So we know credit expire narrow, credit has 6 letters, expire has 6 letters, narrow has 6 letters. There's no circumstance in which you won't be right. Test taking trick, we said the gain and loss equals the difference in the strikes. That's 10. And poof, 10 plus something equals 10. That's 2. Now, if you don't get that, as I said, kind of a mental mess because you're going to memorize. The maximum gain, loss, and credit spread is the difference in the strikes less the credit. I think it's a mess. I think there's easier to think there's 10 points to be made or lost. I got 8 in my account already, so I can only lose 2. I just think that's easier. But however you get there, you need to get there. And then we said break even. We got call and push, call up. That shouldn't be new based on basic options. Call up. Strike price 240 plus 8. We have a memory aid device, cal. Call, add to the lower. Right, so we take the lower strike. And then last thing we got to do is bullish or bearish. All right, so I think that's pretty good, ladies. Let me get rid of this. Anything else? That's our coaching calls are about 30 minutes. What I've been doing, Lina and Gina, I'll put another one up today. Give some thought. You're testing when, Lina?
Tuesday morning.
Tuesday. Okay. And so, why don't we check in? This is Saturday. Why don't you check in with me tomorrow? Send me an email or, if you want, and we can discuss whatever's on your Dean to-do list. You have my email. It's on the booking page.
I'm sure I'll find it.
Okay.
Well, it'll be the same email that you
Hold
sent.
on, just a sec. I'm going to stop our recording. We record the coaching call and we share it, but I don't want to share my cell phone with the world because everybody will
Okay.
call me. But as soon as we can't kill the recording, I'll give you my cell phone.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.